I've been speaking a lot to the Phoenix Suns offensive process, specifically in the half court, with how Kevin Durant is featured, the spots at which he's featured, and the volume at which he's involved directly in actions. Now, obviously, these things are going to be mitigated in terms of the volume at which he's featured with the ball in his hands once Bradley Beal, especially, even more so, Devin Booker are back in the rotation. Nonetheless, I think these reps without those two are a blessing in disguise because it forces the Suns to, I'm not going to say experiment, but it forces them to force feed the ball into Durant's hands and allow for him to be either the initiator of offense or the initiator of the play being started by getting two to the ball in multiple spots on the floor. And I just think these reps are important because it not just allows for the role players to get their reps in, doing so around Durant. Obviously, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker can spot in at any of those spots and play off of Durant's attention. But also, it's important to Durant and just getting that feel in Kevin Young's structure offensively and just playing out of that. And I think inverting the offense and just being able to play at multiple spots with Durant having the ball in his hands can add just a complete and unique layer, a complete different and unique layer to everything that the Suns are doing offensively. So let's go ahead and dive into the film, as last night's game against the San Antonio Spurs was yet another template of how this can be featured and how this can be just such a weapon for the team in the half court. First play here, we're going to see Kevin Durant. This is their first offensive possession of the game. He's just crossing from one side of the floor to the next, and he's going to set just a cross screen here. And I love everything about this because Nurkic is the initiator here. He's bringing the opposing center all the way off the porch from in front of the restricted area and outside the paint and almost at the three-point line. So one, that's opening up and enabling more activity underneath and below the free throw line because of where he is and how he's pulling away the primary rim protector for the opposition. B, I also love this because it's featuring Kevin Durant as a screener. And I feel like there's a lot of offense that can be generated when he's a screener because most teams are not going to necessarily want to switch when he's screening because that's going to put them at a size disadvantage. It's going to present a mismatch for the Suns to obviously take advantage of with Durant. And also, Durant is just a good screener. He doesn't do it at a high volume, but he's just a really good screener. He understands angles. He's a willing screener, as we can see here. This is not just a brush screen. He's literally trying to get Eric Gordon open with the screen and the angle, and that's exactly what he does. Nurkic, bringing his value to the offense, and as a playmaker, is able to hit him on time, and the Suns start off with a very easy basket to start the game. And now we're going to see that same play. This is a nice little wrinkle within their offense that I like, adding this specific play into the mix. You're going to see, again, Nurkic as the playmaker here initially. We see the cross screen again for Eric Gordon. This time he goes over and then flows to the second side. They fake the handback action here up top again between Nurkic and Grayson Allen. And now look at what's enabled. From the screen and from the players respacing on the second side, we now have an empty corner and really an empty side touch here for Durant to either go in isolation or go into a two-man game here with Nurkic, and that's exactly what they do here. He's going to get back into a little bit of a rescreen, just kind of crosses back over. You see the seal here from Nurkic, and then a little bit of a brush as Durant gets into his space. And again, because that corner and the entire side of the floor is empty, Durant has as much space as he could ask for in terms of operating, and one of the best isolation scorers and general scorers in NBA history is able to get up. Nice little step back, too, to get his rhythm going. And then here we're going to see that exact same play again. This time, no screen is going to be set. They're just going to flow into the post up here for Durant. And from there, we're going to start watching the defensive dominoes fall as he's, by way of his patience, is going to pull the strings of the defense. So he gets to see where the initial double team is coming from. It's going to come from the passer. As you can see here from Grayson Allen, it's going to come from the passer. He's going to get off. And I love this because a lot of teams don't get back in the repost. They think that once the ball exits the post, that the post-up advantage and the opportunity to play out of that is just non-existent, which is not true. A lot of times when you repost, you get an even better look or a higher shot quality, whether a double team is sent or if it enables a one-on-one for whoever it is in the post just to play. And I love Grayson Allen just getting it back to Durant here with pace. So he gets a closeout from his initial matchup again. He instantly gets it right back and then boomerangs to Durant in the post. And now they send a double team from the nail. And that double team from the nail is going to be what ultimately gets the dominoes falling as Durant gets off it quickly to Eric Gordon. And, of course, he's one of the better catch-and-shoot three-point shooters in the entire NBA, especially above the break. And he's at the top of the key here, so that's going to force one closeout. He's going to then sell that just to make that rotation just a little bit longer, a beat longer from Osman. And then he's gonna skip it over to Koji, and they're not even going to rotate to him, partly because of this post up here from Nurkic, but also because that's who they want to funnel shots to from deep if they have to concede shots to anybody on the Suns. Now, Koji hasn't knocked this down. He does it right here. I love that he still, took it and then just drive it because it's early in the game. That's important to the Suns' process. For them to get him the ball early especially, see if he has a rhythm where he's at shooting-wise, and for him to be confident and continue to take his shots regardless of the outcome. Next up here, we're going to see another post up here from Durant. And then just pay attention to the help defense, where the double team's ultimately going to come from, and the pace at which they play out of it. So we got Wemby playing center field, trying to take away any skip opportunities. Good job from the Suns with respacing a little bit. Durant is patient, waits for that to settle. As the dust settles, as the defense respaces as well, gets into his movement, catches on to where the double team is coming from again from the nail, as you can see here. And that's Eric Gordon again at the top of the key. He's going to be able to play connector here on the catch. Gets off of it quickly as he sees the way that the defense is rotating. And now their ball movement is a beat faster than the rotations of the San Antonio Spurs off of the double team. That's going to enable a little bit of advantage, and it ultimately is going to result in a little bit of a drive here from Eubanks. As you can see, he attracts some extra attention from Collins as Sohan's defending him. And then he's going to skip it back to the side at which it started from for Grayson Allen, and he's going to be able to get a knockdown three-point shot off the catch here, where he's shooting 45% on the season in this early portion. But again, it's just the pace. This all starts with Kevin Durant drawing two to the ball in the post. The dominoes are falling. Now the Suns are playing with pace, and they're playing read and react and 0.5 offense as well. As you can see, the pace at which things are moving at, especially from this opposite baseline angle. And this is a great skip here from the post from Eubanks. Underrated is his passing ability and just the ability, again, just with accuracy. He hits Grayson Allen right in his shooting pocket, not in the shooting pocket that someone else would prefer. It's in Grayson Allen's shooting pocket. And because of that, this is a good recovery here. But because the location of the pass and Grayson Allen's quick trigger, of course, there's no time wasted trying to lock and load and get it back to his shooting pocket because the pass is already there. And he's able to knock this down again before the rotation can get there from Vassell. And then here we're going to see them using stack entry to ultimately set up a post-up opportunity for Kevin Durant. So you can see the stack alignment, three players in the middle third of the floor, Eric Gordon with the ball, Nurkic screening. Durant is right in front of the basket at the moment. We're going to see a Koji do a clever job of moving Wembanyama around to where it's going to allow for opportunity to get this post pass in. As you can see there, if a Koji is at the free throw line extended or deeper, this passing angle is not going to be there because Wembanyama is obviously with the 8-foot wingspan just as long as any player in NBA history. So because of Koji kind of moving him around the chessboard a little bit and then ultimately removing him from the play as he respaces and the Suns respace, this is all just good on good with process. Durant gets the ball with 12 seconds on the shot clock initially, waits for them to respace, and as the dust settles on that, waits for the double team, figures out where it's coming from. It's coming from the passer, and that's Eric Gordon. That's one pass away. And look at the spacing here between these two. Because of the respacing and the timing at which is happening for the Suns, there's no second rotation coming out to Eric Gordon here that he's really, truly worried about. Now, obviously, this is Victor Wembanyama that's making this contest. Most people can't contest this shot from the nail when he spaced at nearly the 4-point line and nearly the X on the logo for the Suns. Of course, this is a special player in Wembanyama that's able to maybe give Eric Gordon something to think about but he's able to line him up, lace him up, and knock him down from dead on. Again, great pace from the Suns and playing out of that advantage. And then here we're going to see just another empty corner post up here for Durant. He's got Keldon Johnson on him this time. I love this spot where he's catching the ball at because it's a little bit tighter to the baseline. That stretches any rotations that might be coming from any other side of the floor in terms of a double team. And that's going to be exacerbated even more with, as you can see, Eric Gordon spaced at the 4-point line. He's putting that Grayson Allen, because they're all anticipating where the double team is ultimately going to come from. And Vassell's going to time it up to where Durant makes a threatening scoring move. He sees that he turns his corner and leverage to kind of control the post. And that's when the double team comes. Durant does a great job with his patience and understanding of where it's coming from and what angle to make the pass at. Hits a nice bounce pass out of that, and now the dominoes are falling. And this is where the Suns have really been doing a great job with evolving their process. They've been much better with pace out of this double team. And you can see as quickly as it gets there off the exit from the post to the skip pass from Grayson Allen playing connector, that's going to allow for Josh Okogie to play off of a closeout. Defense is tilted and rotating. He's good at driving closeouts, gets to his right hand on his dribble drive, and he's able to be creative and eliminating that angle as he splits two on his way to the basket for this finish, and that's money. Next right here, we're going to see a little bit more of the same. Back to that same play that we saw the first two plays of this film session. This time there's a lot less of a screen. They're just using this for the angle and leverage for Durant. As you can see here, if he's setting the screen and his man has to be somewhat on the inside of him, he can't just completely go to top lock or play him high side. So because of that, they're just using that and processing through it appropriately. Durant gets a nice catch. This is a decent catch point for him. And then they're able to get into the respace. I want to make sure we focus on the respace here because, one, it's coming from Nurkic on the pass this time. So he's going to dive cut, and then Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen are going to essentially exchange here. And we see a look after the exchange, you see that rotates the defensive responsibilities, and now they're going to get into play. 10 seconds on the clock. They send a double from the passer this time because of the spacing manipulated and how it's manipulated from the Suns. And then you're going to see Grayson Allen, who I mentioned earlier, is knocking down his catch-and-shoot threes at 45% now. After starting the season off around like 30%, he's jumped up 15% over the last two games. So he's in his space that he's typically expected to be in. There's going to be a little bit of regression to the mean, but we expect for him to be around or over 40% on the season for sure, with the shot quality and opportunities he'll be getting from the Suns. And then here, I like this one a lot. Off the inbound, they're going to get it up the floor quickly to Durant. So there's only one dribble that takes place in this entire inbound from the baseline on the opposite side. They get it to Durant early, and he has his catch with 20 seconds on the shot clock. That's a lot of meat on the shot clock for Durant specifically to be working with and for a defense to have to play off of this advantage. Great spacing from the Suns. You can see Eric Gordon space to the 4-point line across the help line on the 45. Grayson Allen one pass away. He spaced to the 4-point line. Okogie in the opposite corner, and we see where Nurkic is in the opposite dunker spot. Really more so around the block on the opposite side at the moment. Nonetheless, off of that spacing, this is just great processing from the Suns. They weren't as good with this as compared to where they were two games ago. And now just kind of looking at where they are from that Lakers game to now, last Thursday, the spacing is just so much better. They know they're sending that double team from that nail defender here. This time it's Trey Jones. Durant is patient with his dribbles. He's waiting for him. He's like, come on, I know you're on your way. Once they commit, automatically the skip is there. Boom, you can see the reaction. Takes a step towards Durant. The pass is already out, and it's a fireball to Eric Gordon. And he's able to play connector here and getting it over to Okogie. They don't necessarily like that look, so they just kind of play within the advantage, but we're going to hold it and pause it here because look at what the skip from Durant does. Knowing where the double team is coming from, because he gets off it so quickly, and because Eric Gordon makes this pass to the corner, guess what? Zach Collins, who initially was on Nurkic, is now going to have to rotate over to the corner, as we saw with Okogie attacking his closeout a few plays ago. But what does that do? That's a mismatch for Okogie. If he's quick enough to get baseline, he could gain leverage and get to the basket. And that's getting past the primary rim protector, so there's not going to be much rim protection on that side. However, where else is the advantage? On the block with Nurkic, as he has Trey Jones on him. So look at how the Suns process through this. This is Eric Gordon. He's going to receive the ball back. They're trying to play the angle on the post. They try to do like a fly switch here, a little quick kick out. And the Suns, especially Eric Gordon, recognizes it. Nurkic does a good job staying in the paint. And then as that switch occurs, they hit this pass in a timely fashion. And now look at where Nurkic has this catch at. 1 foot in the restricted area, the other foot in the middle of the paint. This is the advantageous catch point, and he's able to finish and exploit the advantage. That's all started with Kevin Durant's pace and the processing and quickness at which he's moving off the double teams. And then here we're going to see a little bit more of the same. This time they're going to send a bluff double team. He does like a little bit of a fake pass. That sends Wembanyama away. And if you play Kevin Durant one-on-one in the post, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be bad for you. And that's exactly what this is. He gets into a 1 dribble pull-up to the left hand. 2 dribble pull-up, and he's able to knock that down, even over a 2 contests. That's just KD. You can't get away with sending one at him regardless of who that defender is. And then lastly, just kind of blending it in with the process. They've been playing from the outer thirds of the floor with his post-ups all game. To end the game here, they need a bucket ATO. They go to Durant at the nail or somewhere around the nail in the middle third of the floor this time in his isolation touch. And because of the location of this is what the Mavericks were doing with Dirk Nowitzki against the Heat. In those finals back and forth with them, you can't send a double team as easily, if at all, from the middle third of the floor. That's almost like Teflon for a scorer to just say, get an advantageous catch point and go to work. No double team comes because of the location of the catch, and we see Kevin Durant do what he does, completely discarding a Keldon Johnson. A very solid defender, but there's just really no matchup for Durant one-on-one. And we see him do what he does best, jabbing away, baiting at that top foot, gets him to shift, and then takes the leverage away. As you can see here at the still frame, he's able to get into the basket, 2 more dribbles, and he's able to get a dunk. Just really good processing from the Suns in terms of how they're playing out of the Kevin Durant advantage, the pace at which they're playing it out of it at. But my favorite thing is the volume at which these reps are going to be extremely invaluable for this team as they trek forward. And it's seeing Durant feature more in these manners, plus more off of handoffs and as a pick and roll screener and things of that nature, are going to be fun to see them blend into the process even more so when Bradley Beal and Devin Booker return to the lineup.